Again. A halosaur. The fish in the upper center swims like a halosaur, says Bruce Mundy. And Astrid Leitner says, zoom, zoom, zoom. She would like to see up close.
Okay, zoom in.
That's okay.
Hold there.
Have a little bit more.
It's a real challenge. The fish is very accommodating by moving extremely slowly. This one's pretty far away from the ROV, so it's hard to keep it in the screen. But don't these folks do such a wonderful job? Okay.
Hey, Bruce.
Okay, let's zoom
Go ahead,
out.
Bruce.
Now, look, this is another rat
Just
tail.
looking downhill and
My
then
first
resting
guess
my
was wrong. I was
half rail.
some scientist again.
That's what I said.
Too
It's got a
much.
short, rounded snout. You can see it's got a short dorsal fin that would be relatively high if it would push the dorsal fin up. It actually has a very low, long second dorsal fin that you really can't see, and then a long tail with a distinct fin on the side. This might be that same very large-eyed species that we saw earlier in the dive. It's not like the last one that we saw. I'm not sure what this is, but again, these rat tails are very common in the area and at this depth.
Thank you, Bruce.
No big signatures on my sonar.
Nope.
That I'm worried about.
Still got about 15 meters.
Yeah, we're on the move here, so that's good. Just looking around. If we see anything, I can come down and take a look.
So our ROV pilot is taking 30 meters hop, so we'll go out into the water and then lower the remotely operated vehicle D2 down to take a look around at the seafloor and see if there's anything spectacular that we see down here. And pretty much everything is spectacular.
Boundary here. This looks like a couple different types of rock.
Yeah, that looks interesting.
Yeah,
Over
we've
there.
got what looks like in the lower part of the screen a bunch of fine volcanic clastics, fine ash that is slightly stained lighter color, yellowish. And the rocks in the upper part of the screen, I'm trying to tell whether they look like they are consolidated, you know, a solid bunch of lava, or whether it's just clastic or broken up volcanic rock that happened to have landed on one another and just sort of stayed in place, possibly cemented by hydrothermal precipitation, hydrothermal crusts that form around these particles that help them to stick together.
Zoom in, Tara.
And we have, I think, the, well,
Hold
when
there.
we're zooming in here, I don't know what that little gray blob is.
Might be a sponge, but I don't know.
Yeah, there seem to be
No,
two on
yeah.
the rock here. Could
I
just
don't
be a
know.
stain.
I don't know.
It seems to have some sort of structure
It does seem to
within
have some
it.
sort of structure.
And the white that you're seeing there
Looking down
definitely
at
is a
your file, just let me know.
hydrothermal
Okay.
precipitate. In other words, something that has crystallized out of the water that's coming up between the cracks in the rocks.
Almost looks like there's a bit of shimmer right by the yellow stuff down on the right side
I
of the
think I see
screen.
what you're talking about, yeah.
Shimmer. Shimmer, shimmer. Our
Yeah, I see it too
videographer
now.
says
Would you like
shimmer.
more zoom?
Yeah, go ahead.
Right, back of there.
I
See it?
think
Right out of that, where that little shrimp is.
Yeah.
Yep, oh yeah.
I feel like that crack opened up and let
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. And is that a sponge behind it?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's odd, though.
That looks like the source of it there. huh?
Crinkly rock textures
Is that
here.
shadow?
Yeah, seems
Maybe
like
shadow.
a
There it is.
lot of the cracks that
Have-
we see in this part of the crater rim are letting warm fluids from beneath the surface come up
Look at that
and
little crab.
come out
Yep.
at the seafloor.
All right, let's zoom out. I gotta push ahead.
Definitely
All right, so
shimmer.
do we have coming up?
Yeah, so it's warm in here. If you were hiking around in here,
Copa, how
it
far
would
is that
probably smell like rotten eggs. There's a piece of coral on that rock.
Stylaster.
There we
Yeah, we've seen a lot of
He
that.
actually should be
Stylaster,
stopping
hydrocoral.
Right now. So I think he is. Yep.
And these,
Stop.
Oh, okay.
is that a shadow? That
it's
triangular
another
thing? I think that's a shadow of the
Yeah,
rock.
another fish.
And is that no, it's a piece of coral. It's not a starfish.
Coral.
Yeah, coral. Ooh, so many things to see down here. Thank goodness we
Yep.
have lights.
So we are on
Yeah.
the
yeah,
NOAA
definitely.
exploration vessel, the Okeanos Explorer, and we are exploring the Chamorro Seamount, which is part of the Mariana,
Island Arc.
without the S,
Yes, Marianne Island Arc.
Arc.
The Island Arc forms as
There's something
the
down
Pacific
there.
Plate is subducted, or as it dives down into the deeper parts of the Earth,
Might wanna
underneath
Come down with me.
the
Coming down.
crust and upper mantle of the Earth, on which the islands of the Marianas and the submarine volcanoes form. So when
Oh.
the plate gets deep enough, it basically starts to distill, and fluids come off the plate that they are reacting
Altitude
as a consequence of
22.
increased
It's fine.
pressure and temperature and release fluids that come up and lower the melting point of the mantle above them. And
Might just be
that's
sediment.
where magma forms. And here in the view, we see two either worms or a real skinny little fish.
Yeah, I think they might be eels.
Eels?
I
Okay.
think so.
Can zoom
We-
in.
If we
I
zoom in
think
on those, maybe we can
so.
find out.
Hold
You've got
there.
eyes. They look like little teeny eels.
They sure are. Oh, and there's a little shrimp.
A little shrimp right below the eel.
Not the kind of shrimp we were expecting to see around those.
No,
Those
that's
little vents.
Yeah.
All right, zoom out. So actually, is it useful to kind of look at things as we descend down the slope, or would you prefer to just hop down into the middle of the crater?
That's another very common
yes,
fish.
thank
at
you,
these
pilot.
depths. They're in the family
What? Which? Do you want to look at things, or you want to hump to another one?
Because we can
Well,
keep kind of making these short jumps and looking at the inside of the crater, or we can just hop down into the
on
middle,
throat.
if
So
you
the gill
prefer.
openings look like somebody's cut the throat open. These
We'll wait for
are
the explanation.
predators. They would feed on small crustaceans and fish. They're also scavengers. They're attracted to baits that are dropped down when people have
Something
used
white.
baited cameras.
The,
So it's an important
Manipulator
predator
can.
in the depths that we're working at now.
Yeah, and Bruce, we're seeing a lot of stuff in the water column too, so imagine it's got a lot to feed on.
Watch lead, pilot.
Go ahead, watch lead.
Yeah, I think maybe we could take a hop down
A
to
hop
another
down into
30
the crater.
meters. Yeah, thank you.
Well, do you want to make 30-meter hops like you've been doing, or just get down into the middle? Because we can do that in one move if you prefer.
Oh, yeah, sure. That would be good to do, I think,
Get
because
down
we've
in the
seen a
middle.
lot of the
Yeah,
same
'cause
sort of
it-
animals.
It's not quite as interesting as it was up above. So
Agreed.
you want to do a snap zoom on this video, and then we'll
Okay, so we're going
Do
to
you
take
wanna
a
get us
hop
lined up
to
for
the
a move
middle
now?
of the crater. Before we do that, we're going to get a close-up of this
Okay, partial.
Stylaster for Tina,
go ahead.
who's joining us
Hold
from
there.
Moscow.
Generally, what we'd
We've-
expect to see geologically on the inner wall of a crater is a lot of jumbled rock that has fallen back in. Unlikely to see outcrop that could give us some idea of stratigraphy.
Okay.
But if we
zoom
get
out.
down to the center,
That's
maybe
good, thanks.
Yep.
maybe
All right.
we'll be able to see
Okay, we got a
hydrothermal
125
activity
meters to
if
go till we
it's
get to that.
active down
125
there.
meters
125,
at 310.
305.
And
now.
then we can
305.
do a full traverse back up the
Yeah,
crater wall. So we'll be able to
let's
see
Let's get
the
us there.
crater wall.
Okay, so
And,
what we're going to do now is take a jump over so we can get to the middle of the crater. We
yeah. How long will
have
that take?
about, let's see, it's about 1 o'clock our time. We have till
Might be
about
able to go
4:15. We
a
have
little
about
faster
another, a
and just
little
get
over
down
3 hours to go on this dive.
Plenty of time.
A little over 3 hours to go.
4 even if you feel
Yeah.
comfortable, but
I'm not comfortable with 0.4.
No, not 0.3 is
So like I said,
fastest that
when
will
we
stay in
when we
formation.
get to the bottom and
let's
then
do
when we
0.3.
traverse up to the rim again, we'll be able to see
I'll say it's
if there is any exposed stratigraphy that we can help the shore-based scientists document.
Yep, let's get us there.
bridge, RV nav.
And just to keep in mind, we've only collected one sample so far, a geological sample. So
Right.
think about
I got
that
you
as
at
we're looking
80
at these
degrees.
areas
Okay.
as we
RV
continue
nav.
to explore what we might want to. What is that?
We have a
Hey.
test bell going on here.
We'd like to put
I
in a
turn
ship
that
move
off.
of 125 meters at 305. We'd like to put
I
in a
turn
ship
that
move
off.
of 125 meters at 305 degrees, 0.3
Okay, that was
knots.
just a test of our bells. Just turn that off so you guys didn't have to
You can come down.
get your
Come down.
Eardrums
perked.
Actually, I think
125
probably
meters,
folks on
305
shore
degrees,
cannot
0.3
hear
knots.
a lot of the things that are announced or the bells that ring on board the ship.
Report to your man overboard station. All hands report to your man overboard station.
Altitude 20.
So we're at 903 meters right now, and the remotely operated vehicle is
Sonar
5
looks
meters off the seafloor, so
All
we're
right,
above the
just keep an eye on
seafloor.
that.
Yep.
I'm gonna.
We are
kinda
coming
stay out
to
ahead
you
of
live
Yep.
from the
Yep.
Okeanos Explorer.
So watch lead.
US.
Yep.
We just put in a ship move. It's going to take us straight to waypoint 3 at 0.3 knots. So we're going to pick up the pace here, and it's going to take 14 minutes or so to get there.
Okay.
So we'll just do, quick zoom ins, quick snap zooms as we go on anything.
That'll be great. Thank you, pilot.
Okay, so in case those of you on shore didn't hear that, the ship has picked up speed. We are going to go quickly to the center of the crater so we can do some work in there. It'll take us about 14 minutes to get there. And as we're going, we will be doing some snap zooms of things that
zoom in
we're
on this
seeing in the
fish?
water
Yeah.
column.
It's unusual.
No, leave it there because we're going downhill. So I'm not sure any further is going to give you much. Anyway. Yeah.
Oh, this looks like a cusk eel. Yep, with really big eyes.
Oop.
Let's see if I'm right.
Oh, Bruce, you got to deal with this guy. I was hoping we'd see one of these.
Oh, I'll move closer. Let's
Hey,
zoom out
Chris,
a bit.
this is a
different family.
Holding
Again, if you see, it's
Try to
got
give you time.
short, the first dorsal fin that rises up to a kind of high filament, and then the dorsal and anal fins, the unpaired fins on the top and body of the body, go back to expanded lobes. And unlike most of the other fish that we've seen, it's got those fins separated from the tail fin by a short tail segment, the caudal peduncle.
Okay, to zoom a bit.
Pelvic
Yeah.
fins. This is in the family Moridae.
Hold there.
And it's layman.
Yeah, they're called codlings. Yeah, and it's in the genus Bimonema, like Chris just said. There are a couple of species over there. There's a similar species, genus called Antimora, that's the flat-nosed codling, but that has a more flattened, pointed snout. This is a beautiful view.
It is indeed.
Can't say which species this is right now. I'll have to look at the characters, but this is a codling, family Moridae. They're relatives of the codfish and of
Zoom out a
the
bit.
rat tails of
Can't really tell
grenadiers.
much
They're
more.
in the same order,
Yeah,
Gadiformes. And Gadiformes is
Tails
they're a
touching.
very
Gotcha.
Starting to
important
move there.
part of the fish fauna at these depths. So the beautiful views, and I think we'll be able to get a species identification on this later when we
Zoom
compare it
in.
with some of the
Go ahead, hold there.
information.
Yep, holding.
Oh, thank
Just
you,
wanna get
Bruce.
the
That's a
fins.
great description.
So has our mic been on, or I hit the button accidentally? I did not mean to say that on air. I was just talking to the people here in the ECC. Sorry about that, Bruce.
Okay, zoom out.
No problem. I thought you were giving me the cue, so that was good. But yeah, hey, did you say that out loud? Ooh,
Nice.
well, what else did you say?
Ha ha ha.
I must have left it on after I gave you the cue. That's probably what happened.
Yeah, and that's fine. You didn't say anything else, so it's all good.
And geologically, as we descend, we're looking at huge boulders of jagged-edged lava fragments that have just cascaded down this slope. trying to think of a place on the web where people could take a look at things similar to this. The closest thing I can think of is the lava dome inside of Mount St. Helens crater. I don't think that the crest of this cone is a part of a lava dome, but the nature of the material that you see in a lava dome is reminiscent of some of these huge boulders cracked apart. The smoother surfaces that you're looking at are parts of the slope that are covered with finer grained broken volcanic material. Ash is the finest of the particles of volcanic material that volcanologists use as a term just to describe the size. And then as the particles get bigger and bigger, we have other terms for them. So it goes from ash, which is real tiny, to lapilli, which are maybe pea-sized fragments, and then
Right now
cinder
it's at 180,
is
but we'll probably
maybe
get
a size of an
Obviously, yeah, that's a
egg,
good call, Copilot.
or tangerine, and then we get to cobbles that are like grapefruit
Thinking
size, and then anything
that's,
bigger than that is boulder.
Northwest Sound.
I'm looking at 300 right now.
Yeah. Yep. Call that in.
Yeah, let's do that.
And for anybody who's
Bridge,
tuning in
RVF.
right now, what we're doing is we are out in midwater, kind of
Hey, we're gonna
leapfrogging
update our
down
bailout plan from 180 to 300.
inner edge of a crater in the top of Chamorro Seamount, which is a volcano in the Mariana Island Arc, situated about 200 kilometers to the west of the Mariana Trench. And this volcano, as well as several others in sort of the north central part of the Mariana Island Arc, are part of the Marianas Trench National Marine Monument. We're exploring this area on the Okeanos Explorer, which is the NOAA vessel that explores various parts of the world's oceans in cooperation with a variety of agencies that help to manage marine monuments in the oceans, and a variety of partners who help to support the work, including the Global Foundation for Ocean Exploration, the NOAA's National Oceanographic Data Center, several partners.
National Marine Fisheries.
Yep, who manage the fisheries.
Sanctuaries.
The Sanctuaries Group, that's right, and University of Guam, who are watching avidly, both from the University of Guam's Marine Lab and the Underwater World there in Agana. There's also an expedition control center on the island of Maui in Hawaii, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, really?
And speaking to you is Patty Fryer, and I'm the geology lead for this particular leg of this expedition. I'm from the University of Hawaii in Manoa and part of the Hawaii Institute of Geophysics and Planetology.
I got you at
And
82
I have a
degrees
watch
at
lead
5.
partner, because I sure need her.
I'm Shirley Pomponi,
Snap some
the
video.
biology science lead, and I'm from Harbor Branch Oceanographic Institute at Florida Atlantic University, and we
Gonna go
also
tighter?
head up the Cooperative Institute for Ocean
Hold there.
Exploration, Research, and Technology for NOAA's
What is
Office of
that?
Ocean Exploration and Research, and we also have an Exploration Command Center at Harbor Branch, and there
All right, I gotta go.
quite a few exploration command centers
Really
scattered
interesting
across the
watch
United States and a
Maybe some
couple of
kind of
other places outside of the U.S.
Bacteria.
But The nice thing about the way this is set up now is that you don't have to be at an exploration command center to be able to participate.
Sorry, now I couldn't
Nope,
hear
you can do it from home,
Yep.
sitting on your couch, looking
Yep.
at your computer screen.
I can't hear you right
Because
now.
we are streaming live in high definition.
Yeah. Oh, good. He was up on the blue mats earlier. He was late for his deck shift, but
So you can't see
Well, they
much
did
on the
that.
video screen right at the
Man.
moment because we're about 6 meters up from the seafloor. We're traversing down the inner slope of a rim of a crater.
Sonar looks alright there.
And
Wow.
yep.
the pilots don't like to go down slopes backward
We got about 75
because then they can't
meters
see
left in this
behind them.
move.
You can imagine yourself backing down a steep driveway if you don't have a
How much
rear view
left, sorry?
mirror. You don't know what you're going to run into.
75 meters.
Okay.
So we head off into the water column and then we settle down a bit, take a look around.
So the Okeanos Explorer operates in a unique way, different
Yeah,
from the way
right.
we are used to going on expeditions.
Yeah, usually it's just Shirley and me and a bunch of other scientists, maybe 20.
And we
or so.
come up with our
Yep.
science questions that we want
Right.
to address, and we collect data and samples and work on for a few years and publish. For this and all the missions that are planned, coordinated, run by the Office of Ocean Exploration and Research at NOAA, the operations are community-driven. They're carried out on behalf of the entire science and managed community, as opposed to the way we're used to doing them.
Right, we take
Based
the-
on
yeah.
on proposals that have been funded and to address questions that
Are
warrant-
hypothesis
Right.
driven.
Right.
And here we're basically exploring.
We're exploring. We're at the other end, the beginning end of that spectrum, where we're making observations. So that's still part of the scientific method, where we have these observations.
Well, that's the first step.
That is the first step to make these
Definitely
observations.
different types of rocks here.
Yep. But through telepresence, we are now able to share what it is that we are hearing and seeing, and have dozens of scientists who are engaged in the expedition. So way more than we could fit on a research vessel. So, and also lots of different disciplines. So we have geologists, different types of geologists. We have fishery biologists. We have people who have expertise in corals, different types of corals, in mollusks. I work on sponges, so it gives us an opportunity to really interact and collaborate among a broad range of disciplines, and to really bring the best of the best out so that we can describe what it is that we're seeing. We have scientists not only from the U.S., but right now, actually, in addition to scientists in the U.S., we have Asako Matsumoto, who's from the Chiba Institute of Technology in Japan, and we also have Tina Molitsova from the P.P. Shirshov Institute in Moscow. And yep.
And
What were you saying?
we're looking at a much
Looking.
different
This is a
seafloor
lot
now.
different, yeah.
We're getting down close to the center, not quite in the center yet of the crater,
How
but
much
real
further
close
now?
to it. And
You're muted.
it's much flatter here.
5
It's
meters.
pretty clear that what we're
55.
looking at is very much finer volcanic
Where
classics
are we
in
headed?
general, except for this boulder right in front of us.
Trying
But
to
probably
get,
a lot of the
I'm
ash
trying
that
to
was
set us up
blown
right
out
next to
of
waypoint 3 right
the
here.
eruptions that took place from
And
this
then
crater
before, when I had the ship move,
also fell
Sirius is
straight
here,
back
so
down into the crater
the
and
ship
kind of
is gonna
filled
end
it
up
up
right-
partially.
Well,
Where's waypoint 4?
waypoint 4
Just curious.
is
Straight north of us.
Is that
Straight
around
north.
the rim?
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So watch leads, we're just about at waypoint 3. Is that just kind of an arbitrary path? 'Cause right
Yes,
now
Nav, that's correct.
Okay.
And then waypoint 4
is
will
really where we
be
want to
taking
be.
us north.
Okay.
Well, this is pretty much at the bottom of the
Yeah.
crater. The crater is a little undulatory, so we're going up and down, but very slightly until we get to waypoint 4.
Okay.
Waypoint 4 is at the base of what we think is a bit of a mound on the wall of the crater.
Okay.
So it's maybe suspected that we might find some more hydrothermal activity there.
Okay.
So all of the
Looks like a
ash.
little crack.
Yeah, it looks like a crack or something down there.
So pilot, nav, we actually only have about 1-2 meters left. I was measuring from the wrong section there. We're actually just about done with our move.
Right. That's, yeah. 'Cause I thought we were heading toward waypoint 3.
Yeah.
So
well,
what we're looking at here is
start to get
just
lined up for moving
an
toward waypoint
accumulation
4.
of
Yeah, y'all are gonna wanna
finer
head directly
particles
north.
of a volcanic material
At least take a
that
look
resulted from
Okay.
an explosive
there.
eruption.
I think we're done moving right now.
The volcanoes
keep
of the
it moving.
Mariana Island Arc
call
are
it in.
part of
Let's
the Ring
keep
of
it at point
Fire
3.
around the Pacific, and those
Okay,
volcanoes generally
Copilot, you wanna
erupt
turn
quite
towards the north?
explosively.
Yeah.
Sometimes
look
they
out there.
can,
Copy
the
that.
explosive
Wish I had
early
turned
phases of
starboard.
eruption can be followed by a variety of other kinds of
Gotcha at 60
eruptions,
degrees.
either
Well,
lava
actually, this is
flows.
Yeah, watch
But,
yeah.
excuse me.
So we're thinking about keeping our pace up, unless you wanted to go slow along the bottom of the crater here. We're going to keep it at point 3 and get us to waypoint 4 as quick as we can.
If there's anything unusual, like a hydrothermal spire or something.
Okay, well, yeah, if there's a spire, we'll have to slow down
That's a
anyway.
different
so.
eel.
Copy that.
We see an eel here.
The eel?
I missed it.
It was coming.
Just
I
past
think we're over it already, so a little bit too late.
Sorry, over it already.
Well, he might catch it.
There he is.
Oh, there we go. There we go,
Bridge,
pilot.
Nav.
Thank you. Okay, if we could zoom on this guy.
Hey, we're going to
Go
go
ahead,
put a
zoom
ship
in.
move in of
I take
84
that
meters
back. I'm sorry,
at
I think it's the
000,
same type of eel. I thought it was a
0.3
different
knots.
one.
Is this the same guy that we saw a little while ago? Similar? What do you think, Chris or Bruce?
Well, it looks like a
What was the range on that
eel,
move?
a cutthroat
84
eel.
meters.
I'm not
Okay,
sure
thank you
that
very
it's the same
So keep a
species
sharp
that
eye
we
on the
saw
sonar.
before. It seems
Yeah,
more
pilot. Yeah, it's
elongate.
10-4.
I can't. It looks like it might have a
But I
longer
suspect
dorsal
that
fin, the fin on
this
the
is gonna
back.
be-
A little
It's
difficult
going to be a
to
10-minute
see.
move.
So
This is
I
gonna be pretty
suspect,
flat.
because
Okay.
it's more slender and elongate. But what we're
See
seeing
it on the
here
sonar, there's nothing big.
is a cutthroat eel,
If you
but a
pause, I'll
different
let him,
species.
swim
The
out of the
deeper
frame and
bodied
get his whole
one
body
that
as
we
he
saw
goes.
earlier in the dive. The position of the beginning of that dorsal fin is a useful character sometimes, but I can't quite see that right now in the images. It does look like it's further forward. This one looks like it's got some more pronounced flaps or tubes on the nostrils on the head too. So, I think it's probably a Synaphobrancus, but a different species than the other one that we had seen before.
Wow, thanks, Bruce.
And I'll keep out ahead of you so I can...
Yeah, I got you. 63, so, yep. Coming up.
Got some boulders up ahead. Nothing too big.
Copy that.
Yeah, and I did get a good look at the origin of the dorsal fin, the last bit
Come
of
down,
video
maybe a little
before the
bit.
fish swam
Yep.
off, and it's much further forward than any that we've seen so far. Could be something like Synaphobrancus affinis, another species in the genus, but these are difficult. Even the fellow who's the expert on these, Ken Sulak, who's in Florida,
that's all
has
you get.
difficulty
Okay.
sometimes with identifying these from videos.
Okay, thanks, Bruce.
Just quite a different bottom type than
Is
what
that a
we've seen.
coral or something?
Certainly than what we saw on the rim of the crater coming down
yeah.
with huge boulders, and now
Yeah.
we have just a few,
Can,
probably
you're
that
tied
have
on
tumbled
there right now.
Yeah,
down
you can come down a few meters.
from
It's
the
flat,
crest
so you can come
of
down to
the
like 13.
of the top of the crater,
Go ahead and zoom in, Tara.
and mostly it's ash down here.
Is it?
There's a
Hold
little
there.
critters
There.
squat lobster. Is that a squat lobster?
Looks like it.
Yeah.
Looks like it might be. Yep.
So I've been noticing the yellow layering on some of these rocks. What is it we're looking at?
That's a good question. Can we zoom a little closer to find out what that layering
Sure can.
is?
Go ahead, video. Hold there.
Certainly looks like encrustation.
Yeah, I don't know if it's bacterial or mineral.
Well, there was certainly bacterial mat on a lot of those chimney fragments up the top.
Yeah, it could be
Actually, I got a lot of tether
bacterial.
now. Get closer.
Can't really tell from the morphology of this boulder whether it was part of a chimney structure that had rolled down the hill or not. But that is a possibility. And I think there's a shrimp on the left.
Get closer to you. I'm
Shrimps on
pulling
the
up a little
left.
bit.
Yeah.
I noticed my heading twitch a
Shrimp
little
over
bit,
to
so
the
I'm going to
left,
keep an eye
yeah.
on my thrusters.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead and zoom in, Tara.
I did see.
Hold there.
And what is that little arm with the?
there's a little, like-
We're seeing more of those. We're seeing some more of
There's a
those sticks with the amphipods on them that we
Amphipod.
saw earlier too.
And they were talking about those on leg 1, and that is a pair, Mr. and Mrs. Amphipod.
Oh, really?
Yes, it
If you
is.
feel comfortable.
On those sticks?
On those sticks.
I can
Oh,
sit
how
down
about
and get a
that?
little more still.
I'll
I
have
don't
to
have a whole
have
lot of
Diva
time,
or
though.
Deb
It's a
verify that, but that is what
There'll
they
probably
said.
be more spectacular things up ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
So the male and female
Zoom in.
populate
You
a
can zoom in.
stick
Yeah.
and they just hang
I just
on
sit
there.
down, so,
Roger. That's full.
okay.
So we didn't have much more.
And if I remember correctly, what they said was the larger one is the female.
Okay, let's zoom out.
So we saw these sticks a little bit, actually quite a while ago when we first started our dive, and there was some discussion about what they might be. We're thinking they may be sticks that
Yeah, hard
are
return at 25
produced by
meters. I'm not
the
sure what's going on.
amphipods, but
Maybe it
there was some other
dips or
speculation
something.
they could be hydroids or
about
bryzones,
straight
but I
ahead of
think
D2.
There's
Yeah.
a fish.
The
the
shadow.
preponderance of
not. Yeah, it has a shadow.
It's
It's
most
not
of
in the
those went
shadow.
for amphipod
Yeah.
sticks, and that
come up
these
with
were
this.
sticks
That
that the
fish
amphipods
disappeared.
live on.
I'll push out.
Whatever. I'm
We've seen
seeing
a
over
lot
there.
of those.
Could be a depression.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of what it looks like.
Nothing
In the
serious, so.
sonar in
But
front of
good eye.
us, there is a dark sort of semicircular shadow, which might be
Yeah.
a little
just bit
depression.
there.
Let's just see if there's anything interesting in it, like hydrothermal stuff.
We got
Seeing
40
a lot of
meters
little
left.
white
Okay.
cracks between the material
Give
within
me a little tug
this
there, or my thruster's
crater
not sure.
floor.
Both
I think I see
thrusters,
a
just
fish
saw they were
over
both
there.
working.
Okay.
Could be tugging. You're
You're pretty high.
pretty
Jim.
high, yeah. You can come down a few meters.
I don't see anything that looks
This is
like a
pretty flat. I
chimney
mean, you
spire or
can come down to,
anything
like,
in there.
15. Fine.
But there,
Yeah.
Shirley, is that an eel or a
I was
fish?
just on top of
Go
you.
ahead
It
and
looks
zoom
like
in.
looks like an eel.
Is an eel a fish?
Yes.
Thank
A
you.
copy,
This
co-pilot.
is the one that I thought the one we were zooming on was.
This is
This is
different.
a whatchamacallit,
Zoom in.
A whatchamacallit? Oh, come on, give us a
Hold there.
real
Flat
name.
head
whatchamacallit.
with the scales.
Bruce,
No, this is a duckbill eel.
Oh,
Duckbill eel.
Chromatity. And again, you look at the snout; it's flattened like a duckbill,
Yep.
longer than the eels that we've seen before.
And you can see his
Mouth.
lower
Very
jaw
different
opening.
than
Just a touch wider.
Oh, that's great.
like a duck.
get pretty
Very
close.
long, slender, graceful eel.
All right.
This is different from
No
what
worries.
we've seen in
It's
Hawaii.
definitely my
Just gonna
So
get
I
back
think
to
that's a
the
good
pilot.
guess right
Is it-
now
is
about
it
the
cutting out?
genus. It's either in the genus
just flickered red at one time.
Metastoma
Oh, it did.
or
And
Ned
see
and
it's-
Kelly.
Oh boy. So that's the one we've been.
Ned and Kelly's
Yeah.
very poorly
Venting
known
the
in
gas
the
out of.
Hawaiian Islands only from
copy that.
larval stages.
I just
This
noticed
is
my
not
heading changed
behaving
kind of.
like the
It's like a
Metastoma
twitch
But it's
that we
coming
have,
back.
Yes,
influenced
instantaneously.
from a
I saw it
partnership.
flicker red.
There's another
I'm trying to
genus
see if
that
I can
we've
read
seen
what the
on
quote
these
says,
guys
but
called the witch eel
haven't
or the
seen it
sorcerer
yet.
eel. The Mythica, that was quite a find on last year's
It's acting as
expedition.
if,
This is not that species.
You're tugging me,
Something
but there's
different.
no slack in the toe.
Okay, let's slow it down.
Yeah.
Slow it down to point 2.
We're gonna drive it now.
Chat room here in a moment.
Okay.
Hey, let's
Yeah,
reduce speed to
what we're
0.2 knots,
approaching,
please.
we've seen a lot of cracks in the
Cracks,
seafloor,
yeah.
and that suggests updoming. And what we're approaching here looks like it has been uplifted. In the sonar, there's a dark area behind it, which
How
is
much
probably
left do we
just
point
an
for?
acoustic shadow.
19
So
meters.
this is probably
Perfect.
just a
Okay.
little
This is
local
probably the mound
high,
that they.
and we
Yeah, they're
are
talking
pretty
about.
much.
Are we going to
we're
want to
pretty
collect here,
close to
watch
the
these at
center
all,
of this
or should we keep the ship
crater.
moving?
So let's take a look and see if there's anything hydrothermal going on here.
Why don't we go ahead and stop the ship? Actually.
Bridge, RV nav.
You want me to turn with you there?
Let's go ahead and hold here.
Thank you, Nav. Lots of cracks.
I'll come back more into your view.
In what we're seeing suggests that something's been pushing up from beneath and causing extension of the seafloor beneath us. We see some really rough-looking surface texture on some of these blocks, and I wouldn't be surprised if that indicated the past growth of some chimney structures that started forming as warm water was coming out of the magma that had intruded into this crater. I don't see anything that looks as if it's active right now, though. How about over there on video? Tara, do you see anything that looks like shimmering water anywhere near this? Probably would be if there were black
Nothing specifically at the moment.
deposits on the seafloor, but I don't see anything. I do just see this uplift here.
Keeping an eye out, for sure.
When we were looking at the bathymetry, oops, wait a minute, there's something there. Something's sticking up.
Looks like a
There's
shrimp, maybe.
oh, no,
you're looking
I'm looking at the
like
chimney.
rock. Yes.
I think that's a chimney structure.
Yeah, it does look like one.
It's got that irregular surface and a little bit of light
I see.
yellow
I see
discoloration.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they're shimmering. Yahoo!
Backside of it.
We found one.
Yeah, you can.
Oh
turn
yeah,
your
look at the
facing
back,
a bit more.
the background there
Copy
too.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Over to the right.
Upslope is going to be to your starboard.
Yep.
Yep.
For sure. Let's see.
Yeah, maybe
What do we
time
want to look
for.
at first, Watch Lead?
Well, I would suggest we take a look at the areas where the water's shimmering.
Okay.
Maybe try to get a temperature measurement.
All right.
The area where it's white probably has active bacterial mat, and
look
that
at
would likely be an area where hot water's coming out. I think the structure behind may not currently be active.
Navigator, what's our
The highest
bearing for the
temperature we
next
got in
waypoint?
some of the similar areas around the rim of the
We're going to
crater
be turning a little bit more to go uphill.
was about 50
and-
degrees C. So the pilot's going to reorient the submersible, and we see some
All right, so the tether's
gastropods.
being pushed off to starboard. Just let's keep an eye on that.
Those little round
the target
yellow
is about
things are gastropods.
067,
Okay, thank you.
which kind of agrees with your sonar there.
And we see some maybe white gastropods on the right-hand side. Yeah, if we approach this from the direction...
Beautiful.
If we approach from the direction that you're
fish
moving,
on the
pilot,
top.
that's good. I can see shimmering water near the
Zoom in.
gastropods. There's a cluster of white. Yep, right there.
I
Hold
just
there.
sent a message to Bruce.
That's one of the most active areas. Looks like right here, where the snails are. I think the water's coming out right below the snails to the right of them,
Yeah.
and they're hanging on the ridge. There's
Okay.
a little crab crawling around in the crack right underneath the
Once settled here, why don't you
gastropods.
zoom in, Tara, and we'll get you your shot
Sure.
before we.
So we're gonna zoom in and watch this shimmering, which indicates warm water coming out of the seafloor right here. So,
Oh, is that pretty?
despite
Isn't that
the
pretty?
fact that the proposers of this dive said that it has had no known historic eruptions,
It definitely
clearly,
has. Clearly it has.
well, not,
more zoom?
not
Not
a
an
volcanic
eruption,
eruption,
not a volcanic eruption,
but
but
certainly
hydrothermal activity.
hydrothermal activity indicates this is an active volcano.
Zoom out a hair.
So this is a
Yeah, right there. That's
new
perfect. I won't be able to turn
discovery
too much.
for this particular volcano.
Nice.
And hiding right under the rock that the snails are perched on is a little white squat lobster that I would call a galateid crab.
So these snails are called
Cool. All right, zoom
Albinoconga
out.
Slightly white.
Yeah,
hessleri.
go for it.
We're going to measure temperature
Named
here?
after
Yeah.
the Allen
Okay.
submersible
Take the
and
crab
Kessler,
in there,
the
too.
Yes.
geophysicist who probably was on the dive where they were discovered.
hydraulics coming up.
Watch lead pilot.
Go ahead, watch lead.
Yeah, and after we're done with that, can we look at like upper left, the
Did
upper
we want
left?
to measure here, or?
Yeah.
I'd
Do you
like
want
to measure.
Yes, please.
Okay. Let's brighten it up, Tara. And,
Yeah, if we could
see.
take a measurement here and then let Shirley have her way with the
I just want to
critters.
see what that white thing is.
I'm going to winch up just a little bit so I'm
That
Yeah,
white
yeah.
incrustation. Is
Is
that,
that-
it's
That's great.
Is that
bacterial?
up to the left?
Yeah, up to
I'm
the
gonna-
left, yeah.
Yeah, I
just
think
look
that's
right
bacterial,
here.
but we'll
yeah,
take
I
a
just
look.
want to take a look.
Make sure there's
Sure.
no vents that I'm sitting on. So I'm just going to make sure I'm not going to set the vehicle in any other hot spots here.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably any of those white cracks
Yeah.
are going to be warm.
Okay.
Maybe not real hot, but warm. And where you see the gray coloration on the rock, the sort of whitish gray,
Yeah. The
That's
filaments or the.
the sort
the
of the
coating.
patina, the coating.
Okay.
Yeah, that's going to be where the bacterial mats are active, so that's also going to be warm.
Okay, I'm way safe here.
All right. Sounds good.
So it looks
for
like
pilot.
right in front of us that would probably be the best spot. I know that that's really not flat, but whatever you can do.
Yep. No, I think I'll be able to put my toe down here. That looks okay.
Temperature's holding 5 Celsius.
Okay.
Tara Harmer-Luke is joining us from Stockton University in southern New Jersey. And she said that she thinks the crab in the crack was a Bythograea, not a Galathean.
Thank you, Tara. Yeah, all I saw were its claws. What do I know?
Me too.
It saw us and it backed away.
Yeah. Tara, if you want to call in, feel free.
Well, Tina agrees with Tara.
Yeah.
Tim Shake
Okay.
gave
Okay,
another
look clear to you,
genus
co-pilot.
name.
I'm happy.
However,
All right.
Tim, I don't
So
see.
we have a debate going on.
Tim, I don't see where you typed in. Type in, Tim.
Oh wait, where is he?
So let's
Tim
bring
Shank
the
and
drawer
Whistle.
up a hair, wing in. Just be careful that you don't draw into the hot areas.
Copy that.
Okay, for folks at home, you're
Swing
seeing
inboard a little
the
bit.
arm of the
Drawer
sample
coming
basket
open a
swing in
little
from the
bit,
left,
nice
and
and easy.
that round black thing is a rubber bulb that the pilot is going to grasp with the manipulator arm. The silver shaft that you see poking forward of that has got the temperature probe on the end of it. The temperature probe is kind of
That's
angled
about
off a
where we
little
were.
bit to
Yep.
the left.
I can always wing in
And
more.
I'm pretty
if you
sure
need.
it still works.
Yeah. Yeah, let's wing in just a bit more.
Copy that.
Yeah, right there. It's good. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I got a visual on your temperatures.
Hydraulics on.
Once you,
Force 9.
yeah, once you grab it, I can get that wing out of your
So
way.
for those of you at home, I think you'll be able to see
I can take your
this
Okay.
screen on one of your feeds. Tara, are they going to be able to see the temperature on one of their feeds?
Yes, they will. We're streaming it already.
It'll be a little while, so folks don't get excited.
Oh yeah, might be.
We're excited.
Might be helpful if I had this on so she could hear me. Sorry about that, Tara.
It's okay.
Sorry
I
about
can
that,
hear-
Tara.
Oh, that's okay. I can hear you.
The pilot will grab that ball with the manipulator arms, and those
Okay, let me get that wing
those
out of your way. or-
fingers, the silver fingers are about 9 inches
Yeah,
long.
sure.
Okay.
And he'll have to get a bunch of his separate cameras so that he has a parallax view as he approaches this vent area where the warm water is coming out of the seafloor. And we'll get a real-time read of what the temperature is as he's able to make that measurement. So on the screen right now, the purple, you'll see a whole bunch of readouts in a column. So there's text in a column, and the one that is highlighted in purple is the
7.4,
temperature probe 1. And right now it's recording at 8.75
9.26
degrees Celsius
It is titanium.
temperature, and
It'll take a minute to
it's
stabilize.
going up now to 97499. 1026, 10.4. 10:57. 10:95, 11:14.
Can you note the Menezes flicker in the Copilot book?
Yeah, absolutely.
11:75, 11:82, 87. You can actually see the reading moving up on the very right-hand side of the
This is dive
display
7, right?
too.
Yes.
It's hard to read the temperatures off that, so I'm reading it off the digital display. Temperature of 11.73, 0.8.
You can, if you uncheck those boxes and then recheck them, it'll reset that scale.
I need the...
You can touch it too, and it's kind of.
But I like the scale, so we can see the relative temperatures
Okay.
between
Well,
the.
we just
the
have that spike up to 50.
You
Right.
did. Oh shucks, I
And
did
then
miss
if we we'll still have the data, but there you go.
To reset, you actually have to clear. At least that's what I found. It may work for you.
There you go.
So our videographer is resetting the
See,
screen.
it's uncheck it and recheck it, and then the scale resets itself. Okay. So that's reading about 12.
It
12
is.
Celsius. Okay, and it's steady. Yep. Okay.
Just
Is there anywhere else you want to measure, or is it?
Is that the highest temperature that we've got in this area?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
About 12:35. Thank you. Is there? It's difficult for me to see the shimmering from
Let's wing
the
it.
back
Yeah.
row here. Tara, do you see any place else where it looks like it's venting hot
Or they might-
fluid? Maybe
Got me going more,
maybe
let me know.
a little bit above,
Hold on. Sweet. Give me one.
further up the screen, in the
Yeah, I'd
crack
say there's
above.
another vent.
Yeah, I can see the tip of the temperature probe going up toward it. Maybe up where the snails are, there's a snail just above kind of a black round rock, and to the right of a gray patch on the rocks. And I'm just wondering if the snail is taking advantage of the warm water.
You thinking like up here?
Yeah. Or maybe, I can't quite see the tip of the probe.
Could zoom in on Zeus, maybe?
Yeah. Why don't we zoom in, Tara? Or
Yeah.
Zeus Plus. Yeah.
There we go.
You want to take that camera, Copilot?
Copy that.
I
Okay.
don't-
Where are you looking at?
I was looking where that yellow, I thought that was a snail, but now that we're zoomed, I'm not sure it is. And
Hold there.
I don't really see any shimmering up there. Do you?
Yeah.
So, okay, so I would like to look at, when you get positioned, what's in the upper left of the screen.
Yeah, I think Shirley thinks that's a
but
sponge.
when you're done.
Okay. So I'll just hold there for a
Yeah,
second.
temperature's back down to about 9. And back up. Yeah, it's variable. Nope, dropping back down.
Yeah, it
Drop
just
it back
takes a
down.
second
Yeah.
for the probe
Yeah,
to
there may
warm
be
up.
warm water coming out all along that crack, but I think we measured in the area of the greatest flow,
bizarre,
so we can probably
Is it
stop
drifting?
here.
Oh boy.
Whoa.
We can probably stop taking
Zoom out?
fluid measurements. Yeah, I
Beyond
think.
clear.
Well,
Okay.
Okay.
yeah, I
good.
think we're done with the fluid measurements.
Yeah.
And so we'll take a look at that gray area to the
Yeah, that
left.
gray patch. I'd just like to
Right.
see what that is.
Might be a sponge.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I just wanted to see what it is. If it's bacterial or...
Watch these wire if the temperature readings valuable. What do they tell us?
The temperatures tell us the level of activity of the venting here, and usually the higher the temperature, the more vigorous the water flow underground, and the closer to the heat source it is. So, for instance, if one would expect that in the crater of a volcano you've got the throat of the volcanic conduit underground may have hot rock, not necessarily liquid, not necessarily
A
magma,
little
but
better that time.
He's in.
still hot rock. And so depending on where the temperature is the hottest, we can
Great
get
thing
some
about-
idea about the pathways for the fluid to escape around the volcano.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing as we zoom in on this gray patch that Shirley wants to take a look at, I'm guessing that the ring fractures around the crater rim are permitting hotter fluid to come out than down here in the center of the crater. That's not too surprising because once a volcano stops erupting, the center
Okay,
throat
hydraulics secure on
gets
craft.
really dense, plugs,
Square your
and
mains up real
solidifies. And so if there's any movement at all around the volcano, it's likely to be at the periphery of that plug.
Thank you, sir.
Rapid down hydraulics.
Thanks. All right, so what did you want to look at?
Just one of those white patches up to the kind of just at about 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock. Can you zoom in?
Camera back. That's all right.
Is this all right? This one here?
I'd rather look at the other one. I'd rather look at the other one that's just
Okay.
up
in
in
the
the
left
left-hand
corner.
corner of the screen.
Okay, let's zoom out, Tara, and I got to reposition.
Yeah, rolling in the video chair.
Okay, Roland, how you doing?
So the ROV is going to move a little bit
So
over
they
to
want
the
to look
left,
at this gray patch.
so we can get that high-definition camera that's right in the center of the front of the vehicle, positioned
Pilot, do you think I should
directly
let
below
our
that
nav in the
patch
chair
we
for
want
the
to
last
look at.
10 minutes?
And the red
yeah,
dots
sure.
are 10 centimeters apart. That's our
Okay,
scale
zoom in,
bar.
Roland.
It's about 4
Hold there.
inches.
Is that a
This
sponge?
looks like a sponge.
It's either a sponge or a
Zoom in
bryozoan,
more.
but I don't know.
It has
Okay.
channels. It has
Yeah,
pores.
Sponge.
Yep,
Okay, we're
definitely
good.
sponge.
Yeah, we're sponge.
That is cool, Shirley.
Yeah. Okay.
Curly's it.
Maybe similar to the one that we saw a little bit earlier. These are thinly encrusting. It's a demo sponge. I have absolutely no idea what it is, but
You mean
Sorry,
it's
Roland, I don't want to
species-wise,
sit
huh?
down here because there's some hot spots.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We can pull
yeah.
back.
yep. Okay, we're
Okay.
good. Thank you.
Zoom
That's
out.
perfect. Thank
We
you.
can
Thank
pull
you.
back.
All right, so we just want to keep looking around this area? Or
Just a little bit as you go forward.
do we want to keep moving up slope, or do we want to hang out here for a bit?
Actually, I think we want to go up slope.
Okay.
It seems as if more of the hydrothermal activity is taking place around the ring fractures and the upper slopes of the volcano.
Okay. I'm going to... What does it look like on sonar to you?
Maybe a little bit to my starboard even.
Yeah. And I'll get a read on slope over here.
It looks like this is just
We'll
another
look at
local
4-5,
high
so
that
that looks.
we're approaching a local high with a sonar
I'm looking
shadow
at-
behind
yeah,
it.
I think 4 or 5 looks good.
Big 4-5er.
Yep.
So maybe as we go up this feature, we might find some more hydrothermal
While he's getting set up, I'll
chimney
push out.
structures up
Okay.
there.
All right.
Yeah, I can come down a lot, so.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
seeing
this is
some.
pilot.
We're seeing some white
Go ahead, pilot.
We're going to want
incrustations
to
on the
move
sea
towards
floor.
045. Let's just do a 30-meter hop.
So I'm not sure whether those are little.
Let's go ahead and do 0.1, and then we can kind of give
Corals?
ourselves some time to look around.
At the,
Or-
well, you know,
or
the ones
maybe it's
with
just
barnacles.
staining.
Orange.
Just
I
hydrothermal
don't know.
staining.
Or barnacles.
Bacteria.
And make sure it's not a.
There's a lot more particulate in the water now, too.
I can see that as well. Our pilot is saying there's a lot more particulate matter. So
wanna
this is an
zoom partial,
interesting
Roland?
direction.
What is
There's
that?
there's
That's interesting, huh?
staining on the rocks, and below to the right. Shirley, is that a sponge? Just
Yes.
just going
yeah.
off the
yeah,
side.
no. I
Yeah.
was looking at it. I was responding to Tina.
Okay.
Okay. And
So
those are
this looks like bacterial,
bacterial.
and maybe hydrothermal iron staining or an iron
Possibly.
iron
Looks like it's coming from the crack. You wanna
Go ahead,
zoom in
Nav.
the Crack.
Can you
iron
repeat the
stain, the
morphe one?
yellowy
We're going to
brown.
move 30 meters, bearing 045, and we're going to go at 0.1 knots.
Can we
Copy
look
that.
at? Can we look at the line where the colors start? It's probably
Yep.
coming
Go ahead.
out of there.
Watch lead pilot.
Go ahead, watch lead.
Pilot, I just wonder if, when you're done with the zoom on this,
Bridge,
if
this
we
is
could
Nav.
just investigate the top of this little mound.
Sure.
It looks like it might be slightly off to your left because the sonar shadow is strongest in your left, your northwest quadrant.
And you mean the feature that we're moving up slope on now?
I do mean that.
We're actually
yeah.
calling in a move right now
Okay.
towards 045, which will put us up at the top of this local
Great.
high. Yep.
Okay, because this looks like it might have chimneys
Bridge
on the
doesn't
top
have-
of it.
Cool.
Oh, this is coming out of the crack because the fluids will find
Is Bridge
whatever
not responding?
orifice they can escape from.
There we go.
And they're
calling
rising
back.
vertically, so the bacteria are taking
we need
advantage
to
of
move
whatever the nutrients
to
are in the fluids,
30 meters.
and therefore
heading
are staining
045.
upward as the fluid flow moves up
0.1 knots.
around the this little curve in the rock face.
Okay. Zoom out.
Full wide.
Copy that.
So if you have warm rock below, generally what happens
down into
is
this hole.
cold fluid
like
will
to.
flow toward warm
It
fluid
seems like the
because
only thing
warm
is that
fluid
crack because,
flows
it's
upward.
soaking
And
and
so if there's
staining.
cold water at the edges of something that is warm in the center, the cold water will try to find its way in through cracks toward that warm center, and then all of the warm
There's
water
something
gets
in there,
heated
huh?
up and
You wanna zoom in?
starts. We're looking at something in here that the pilots think is alive and moving.
Can't
There
quite
is.
tell.
Can't tell if there's anything in there.
Looks like the amphipod sticks.
Might just be staining.
Might be,
Right.
yeah.
Zoom out.
So Sharon Walker has just sent me an email. She's from the Pacific Marine Environmental Lab, NOAA's PMEL, and she's saying that we keep saying
like
that
the ship
there's
started
no
on.
previously known volcanic activity, so
Nice and
the
slow.
hydrothermalism is a surprise. However, she wanted to point out that they did visit and sample the water column here during their
Oh, cool.
2003 expedition.
Yeah.
Yep.
What did they find?
And they did it one tow over the summit of the volcano during the 2003 cruise, and there was a very weak oxidation reduction potential
Ooh,
anomalies.
Look at that.
Here we go.
There we go.
They're
And
definitely chimney
elevated
structures up here.
helium-3. So those are both chemical
The one in the
tracers of
background is
active
gonna be
hydrothermal
activity.
venting.
So
So
is
it-
Sharon
yeah.
watching? So she's
Yes,
actually watching.
whole lot of
she.
tether
Yes,
pop.
she is.
Okay.
Hey,
And now
hey,
So
Nav.
what we're seeing here now is very
Uh,
consistent with what they found in the
let's bump
water
it up to
column in
0.2.
2003.
We already found
Thanks,
a chimney
Sharon.
Copy that.
the sonar from the ROV is showing a shadow that's
Bridge
pretty
to
much
Zanat.
right in front of us. It looks like this this structure we're approaching, and this structure has a lot more of the white
We need,
what
to
we're
increase the
presuming is
velocity to
bacterial mat
0.2 knots.
on it. So as we get a little closer, we may well see
Copy
some more
that.
shimmering water.
So,
Well, look at all the particulate
Yeah,
matter
a lot of
that's
particulates in
collected
here
around
now.
the base of this feature. So it'll be interesting to see if it's actually
If it's venting.
Still want your
venting
lights
fluids.
stowed?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell if we don't
Yeah,
have
bring it
anything
out.
behind
Yeah, let's bring him out. Okay. It's a good call.
to see the shimmering in water.
Just the lowers. Let's
I
bring the
do see
lowers out
shimmering
like
at the
at a
top.
20, 30 degree angle, something like that. Yeah. Oh yeah, Roland, you're right. Ooh.
Do we see shimmering
We
above
do.
that?
We sure do.
Okay.
The ship is on its
And
way toward us.
Great.
So
Okay, well,
we'll
we'll
be
get
here
there
soon.
in a couple minutes.
We are coming to you live from the NOAA ship Okeanos Explorer, which is America's ship
Got a
for
large
ocean
tube on the
exploration.
right-hand side of that? Or is that
We're
a
sitting-
Oh, yeah, I can see that now.
sticking
We're
hole
sitting
in?
in the crater of a volcano that the people who proposed this dive thought, well, they
wanna
said
zoom
there's
in
no
a little
known
bit?
historic
10
eruptions of this thing, but we've been finding hydrothermal
Oh, really?
activity.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna want to put in.
And that's
And
consistent
Susan
with what
Walker-
Sharon
yeah,
Walker,
Sharon
what
Walker
Sharon
said
Walker
that's
said
the
during their expedition.
We'll
Right,
probably
they
put
did
in
it.
another
2003.
10 or so.
They
That looks
Very
collected.
settled.
consistent.
Might be okay.
Oh, actually, this is pretty big. If the snails are the same size as the ones down below. The round things you see clustered at the base of what looks like a pipe sticking up out of the ground, those are
Swing arms look all right,
snails.
Seal?
Yeah, they look great.
And
Thanks.
most of
Two
them,
different species.
yep,
Fish swimming in the
but
background.
both are about 3 to 4 centimeters in diameter.
Okay, so I assume we're going to want to take a temperature reading.
We definitely want a
Yes.
temperature.
All right, let's
Thank
go
you,
full wide
thank you
roll.
very much,
You have
pilot.
assumed correctly.
They're learning to read our minds. Ha.
That's what it is.
That was a guessing man, those white
Scientific telepathy
snails on the
going
bottom.
on in the
Looks
lab.
like they've got the hottest flow.
Yeah.
Now these
watching your
black
temperatures,
areas
pilot.
right in front of the
Nice and
ROV. This
Cool.
is where we saw in black chimneys like
Oh,
this is
wow.
where we saw earlier having some shimmering water come out of it.
Is that move still underway? Yeah, we're still moving.
Now,
Yeah.
what I remember from picking up a rock in an area of diffuse hydrothermal
10 meters left of your room.
fluid emanation on a previous seamount, the white stuff is the stinky sulfur stuff.
Tim Shank shared with us earlier. Tim